These animals are clearly able to distinguish what is normal prey from what isn't.
Breaking
Witnesses reported a 14-foot great white.
Great white breached completely out of the water.
Near a boat full of people.
Got a large shark underneath me here.
The shark known as Jaws was spotted close to shore today.
Coming right up behind me. Oh! That was incredible!
Shark photographer Chris Fallows will now investigate these sharks in a craft he calls the Seal Sled.
I don't think anybody's ever been this close to a breaching white shark before on purpose. Come on, shark. Ah!
10 years ago, at this remote island off the coast of South Africa, the discovery of great whites flying from the water changed the way we think about these sharks. To catch an elusive seal, the great white showed us a speed, power, and even intelligence we didn't know it had. We discovered that in these waters, a one-ton super predator had learned to fly. Now there is a new discovery that may once again change the way we think about these sharks. Like flocks of cormorants departing the island, the great whites also leave these killing grounds each spring. This migration takes the sharks away from the island and close to the mainland, right off crowded beaches where thousands of people swim, surf, and play. Why great whites leave seal colonies where food is plentiful and move to beaches is not fully understood. But now, world-renowned photographer and author Chris Fallows will try to shed light on this mystery.
Through documentaries such as Jaws 1 and 2, it became widely known that great white sharks take to the air and breach. However, what's not well known is what they're actually doing close inshore, just behind the surf line, sometimes amongst people.
Fallows will document the sharks' migration starting in the dead of winter at Seal Island when the predators are in full hunting mode. The island will provide the ultimate vantage point for capturing the sharks' aerial attacks.
The only way for me to get to the island is to actually swim. So I'm going to be going over a slightly deep piece of water to start with, and then into the shallows. The deep part of water obviously has got white sharks in it, and when I get into the shallows, I've got to watch out for the waves, and sometimes even the seals themselves. Once I get onto Seal Island itself, I've got to be very careful, because I really don't want to disturb the wildlife. That's very important to me. Then I have to navigate a way through the seals, dodging the big bulls, and finally, when I get to the top, I'm going to set up my seal observation post so that I've got a great view over the perfect area to see natural predation.
Fallows has photographed over 5,000 attacks, focusing mainly on seals returning to the island after a night of feeding offshore. Below them, a missile stands ready to launch. Its targeting systems are locked onto the younger, smaller seals that often fall behind the pack.
Initially, the sharks will always have the advantage because they're using stealth and ambush. However, the longer the attack continues, so the more it swings in the seal's favor. As the shark begins to tire out, the seal's more easily able to get close to the shark, and the shark itself no longer able to line the seal up right in front of its jaws.
The shark is faster, but the Cape Fur seal's stamina and agility make it a formidable prey.
How they get out of the way is quite incredible. I believe at the last split second, they're able to actually pick up a pressure wave directly in front of the shark and launch themselves at incredible angles right out of the water, sometimes narrowly missing the shark and even occasionally balancing right on the actual teeth of the animal itself. Some of these seals are only 5 or 6 months of age. As the season continues, so the seals become wiser to what the sharks are doing. About 600 to 800 seals are killed here every single year. But bearing in mind there's a population of around about 60,000 animals, that's only 1% that are going to be killed by sharks.
With a full day's worth of images, Fallows now returns to the safety of the boat. Working in the most active great white shark hunting ground on Earth is dangerous, but the rewards are great.
Whoa, that was incredible!
Fallows' groundbreaking photos and observation of attacks has helped scientists study the complex relationship between shark and seal.
Oh, I saw the most incredible stuff out there. Shark came right up underneath the seal, launched it about 5 foot into the air. Seal came down, and shark managed to just go around and catch it on the second turn.
Fallows now pilots his boat into the heart of the great white's hunting ground. He'll begin testing a new high-tech camera capable of capturing shark attacks in amazing detail.
Got a shark there right now. We're just keeping a respectful distance away.
These attacks can last a mere 1 second. Like a car crash, it's faster than a human brain can process. The camera is called Phantom, and it can slow down the action more than 40 times. Used in Hollywood by filmmakers wanting the ultimate slow-motion footage.
Incoming from the left, Tony.
This same camera will allow Fallows to slow down the strike of the ultimate great white. But this is only a practice run.
So how many frames a second are you shooting there, Tony?
Right now, Chris, we're shooting 1,000 frames a second.
The real test will be capturing a breaching great white, an aerial display that can propel the giant fish 10 to 15 feet out of the water.
In order to get a breach, we often will tow what's known as a decoy, a cutout of a seal. He obviously looks very much like the real deal. We tow him directly above the sharks, and we hope that they strike him at full speed. In order to capture a breach of a great white shark, many hundreds of hours are spent cramped in very uncomfortable positions, and a breach lasts usually less than 1 second. Stop! Holy.
But when slowed down with the Phantom camera, a 1 second breach lasts nearly a minute.
Seeing it happen in high speed in real life, it's just astonishing how fast the great white sharks are actually moving, sometimes at speeds of 25 miles an hour or more. Wow, let's have a look at that, Funes. Oh, look at the boat. Sure, look at the strike here. You can see where the top jaw probably got it over here. Another classic hit on one of our decoys. So often the naked eye doesn't actually pick up the subtleties of a breach. And it's only when you go back and review images that you see, oh, the mouth was actually open, all the shark's eyes were open when it was actually right above the water flying through the air. also interesting, within a split second, how the sharks are able to reject the decoy. They know almost the moment it touches their teeth that it's not the real food item and will spit out the decoy with a tremendous whoosh of water.
The sharks have been jumping after seals here for a very long time. But because this little island off South Africa is so remote, human beings have only recently discovered them. This seal island sits virtually in the middle of False Bay. But 250 miles down the South African coast, there's another seal island where great white sharks hunt seals much closer to shore. Chris Fallows is here at Mossel Bay to investigate reports of great white sharks that can often be seen from the beach.
Well, Seal Island, False Bay, lies about 5 kilometers off the coastline. Here at Mossel Bay, Seal Island is no more than 800 meters, which is incredible that you have a concentration of Cape fur seals and great white sharks in such close proximity to human habitat. At Seal Island, Mossel Bay, there are about 3,000 Cape fur seals on the island. And just like anywhere else on Earth, where there's prey, there'll be predators, and that's why the great white sharks are here.
In the last 3 years, over 400 great whites have been identified in the waters off Mossel Bay, a resort city of 80,000 on the South African coast. The sharks are often seen very near the beaches, but attacks here are extremely rare. Chris Fallows hopes to learn why. He'll conduct a series of tests that will take him closer to these predators than ever before.
One of the reasons I love great white sharks so much is the fact that there's actually so little known about them. Every time we go out there, it's a mystery waiting to be solved. And to see these animals close inshore is one of the greatest mysteries of all. I really look forward to getting in the water and getting to the bottom of this with these animals in their world. Oh, that's a much bigger shark. Fantastic. It's just incredible that these animals are so close to shore here. Less than a few hundred meters from the coast, and there's a sizable population as well. They're not as big as the False Bay sharks, averaging about 2.8 to 3 meters here, but it's incredible that there's human activity and sharks, and there's very little problem. Here he comes again.
Fallows discovers that many of the Mossel Bay sharks are juveniles in the 9 to 10 foot range, primarily fish eaters who may be just learning how to hunt seals. This may explain why great whites are seldom seen breaching here and kills on seals are rarely observed.
One of the interesting things is, whilst there are large numbers of agile, highly maneuverable sharks in this environment, awesome, and a large population of Cape fur seals, there appear to be very few predatory attacks. It's quite fascinating.
If these sharks are in training, as Fallows believes, he's about to put them to the test by towing his seal decoy here. But will they jump?
What's going to be really interesting to see is if these sharks will actually breach and hunt like they do in False Bay. They certainly interact with us the same way around the boat, but will they do the same flying shark behavior that we see back home? Okay, we've just launched our decoy a few hundred meters from the beach here in Mossel Bay. So we've got a large volume of hotels right here where the people can actually look from their hotel rooms and see great white sharks. As a wildlife photographer, one of the shots I'm most looking forward to trying to get is the shark breaching with a huge human element behind it. I think it speaks volume of this animal and its ability to discern between a normal prey item like a seal and obviously a human being. That was incredible. That's amazing. Sweet. You get that, Tony? Oh, it looks amazing.
At about 9 feet long, it's the smallest breaching white shark Fallows has ever seen. Great whites are born as fish feeders. They have to learn and perfect the skill of breaching to successfully feed on seals. Seal Island, Mossel Bay, may be just such a training ground for these young sharks. And there's plenty of recruits. When they finish seal hunting at the island, the sharks then move even closer to the mainland, often into waist-deep water.
What's really interesting in Mossel Bay is the fact that you've got an island 800 meters offshore, and the white sharks move between the coastline, right behind the surf, to the island every single day.
Most experienced surfers, swimmers, and even boaters along the South African coast understand that they share the water with great white sharks. To prevent attacks, shark spotters keep watch over some beaches, but in these waters, bumping into a great white is an ever-present risk.
The fact that these sharks are so close to shore is really, really fascinating. It just goes to show how discerning they are in what they actually eat, because there are people swimming there, there are people surfing there, and there are white sharks cruising there. And if they wanted to catch the people, it would be very, very easy.
Now Fallows will conduct an aerial survey of great white sharks off the beaches of Mossel Bay. From the air, he hopes to find clues that reveal why these sharks might be going into shallow water, and also to get an idea of the danger these sharks may or may not pose to people.
They're literally within 100 yards of the beach. Houses all along the beach, people walking on the beach, and unbeknownst to them, great white sharks cruising within a stone's throw away from these people. It's not exactly known why the white sharks are close to shore. It could be that the water is highly oxygenated due to the waves. They could be feeding, and maybe it's even an area where they come together to mate.
Mating has never been observed in these animals, but the shallow water of the surf zone could make an ideal mating ground. If the sharks stopped swimming during mating, their oxygen-starved bodies would sink to the bottom. The surf zone, with its high oxygen content, might allow the sharks to remain motionless during mating, while water flows over their gills, keeping them alive. If the sharks are busy mating and not hunting, that may also explain why there has only been one fatal shark attack here in the last 20 years. Ironically, that one attack occurred just 4 days after these aerial scenes were shot. A surfer, 25-year-old Gerhard Van Zyl of Mossel Bay, was killed by a great white on this very coastline, which makes Chris Fallows' next challenge all the more risky. It's the height of the tourist season in South Africa, but many people may be unaware that dozens of great white sharks are cruising just offshore. Chris Fallows believes the sharks aren't here to attack people and intends to prove his theory by paddling out and meeting the predators head-on.
Well, I've just come down from the helicopter where we saw numerous white sharks just behind the waves. I'm now going to climb in the kayak to find out exactly what they're doing here. You can see just on my right, there are numerous people in the water, and shark attack statistics show that they're not here to feed on the humans. What exactly they're doing here, we don't know. I'm going to go out there and find out.
The kayak will allow Chris to get within inches of the great whites, where he can determine if the sharks are aggressively hunting or passively cruising through the shallows. Unlike a noisy boat, the small kayak should not alter the shark's behavior. But this tiny craft is no match for a great white, and Chris is betting his life that he will not be attacked.
There have been numerous attacks in South Africa and elsewhere on kayaks. What triggers these attacks is uncertain. Okay, I've got a large shark underneath me here, or at least 3.5 meters. Slowly circling. Whilst I'm interacting with these animals, I never forget that they are super predators. And if they wanted, they could easily knock me out of this kayak and potentially do a lot more harm. She's just gently touched the bottom of the boat there as she cruised underneath. Big shark. Just checking me out. Another shark right next to it.
So far, the sharks are slightly curious about the kayak, but as Chris has now discovered, their level of curiosity rises the faster he paddles.
And what I found was the paddle motion through the water created a lot more interest than just the kayak itself. That was pretty cool. Oh, she's fantastic. She was right here like 3 or 4 times. Okay, here she comes. Where is she now? Whoa! Is she coming behind me? Incredible. On one occasion, a youngish white shark came right up and gently mouthed the paddle when I held it in the water, which goes to show a moving object that potentially looks like a small seal or something like that certainly draws their attention.
Despite their passing interest in the paddle, Chris is convinced that these sharks are generally non-aggressive and pose little threat to humans.
Just incredible to be sharing a moment with such a special animal like this. Unbelievable. The people that are in the waves are probably unaware that these predators are right here. But from what I've seen, they've got very little to fear. Shark attacks also show that attacks in this area are very, very rare indeed.
If the great whites are not here to kill, then they very well may be here to breed. No one has ever seen white sharks mating, but many other species of shark do gather to breed in shallow water. Mating in many shark species is often violent, with males biting the females to hold on. A large, sexually mature female with bite wounds found in shallow water might be there looking for love.
Got a white shark coming on my right over here. Big female with a large bite out of her. If you look over here, she's actually coming under me right now. Huge bite just behind her dorsal fin. Possibly a mating scar, although she's still a little bit small. What I've seen here is young, sexually immature white sharks just cruising. Perhaps it's a form of social gathering that will in later years lead to mating. We're not quite sure.
If not mating, the sharks may be using the shallow water as a pit stop to rest and digest meals caught further offshore.
One of the reasons why the white sharks might be close inshore is to use the highly oxygenated area as an easier means to swim. Because it's so well oxygenated, they can swim a lot slower and therefore save energy. Yeah, she's coming right up behind me. Another possible reason is warm water traditionally gets trapped closer to shore. It's also shallower, and the warmer water would help them digest their meals more easily. Well, right underneath me.
The exact reason the sharks are here is debatable. In summer, a great white shark's thoughts often turn to fish as they abandon the seal colonies and make their way toward the beach. Fish, rays, and even other sharks may be enticing the great white into the shallow water along the shore. But underwater research in this arena is virtually non-existent. A one-man submarine has just arrived from Canada. Chris Fallows will take it underwater, face-to-face with the great white shark to see what he can find out. The sub will allow Chris to safely observe and follow the great white near the beach.
You probably have a million questions about how this works.
Yeah, I do.
This is the dome right here.
Fallows has been training with producer Jeff Kerr to operate the sub, which features a bite-proof clear acrylic dome for white shark viewing.
Like this.
That's going to be quite strange. So my body's going to be in water and my head's going to be in air.
Right. It's a wet sub.
A joystick controls battery-operated motors that make the sub highly maneuverable and able to keep pace with a cruising white shark.
Turn on a dime.
Really?
You can do circles. You can go bank left, bank right. Wherever the shark is, you know, you can go to it. Master breaker on. Okay, let me turn the air on.
Because of the limited visibility that we encounter where we're working with the white sharks, it's just too risky and too dangerous to scuba dive or snorkel with these animals here. I simply couldn't see them. So the sub was my only option and the most convenient option to cover a large amount of ground to try and find out what these sharks are really up to. My plan was to cruise at about 20 feet, going through the gullies and the beautiful canyons that we see down there where there are a lot of reef fish. It's intriguing to know what these animals are doing down there, and I think all the fish might be one of those clues.
Hey Chris, how's the viz down there?
The viz isn't that good. Maybe it's just that the water's dark.
He can't see them clearly, but the sharks are close, hanging just out of sight.
When cruising along, the water is very murky, so I'd really only see shadows. When I saw one of these shadows, I'd approach it using the joystick. It was very obvious that the sharks were reacting to the sub. The sub is very noisy, it emits bubbles, and it's obviously something that the sharks are not used to.
Chris, you got a shark coming in right on top of you.
Whoa! That was incredible!
A single shark has buzzed the sub inches from the dome. Great whites are known to be sensitive to electrical fields, and Fallows believes the electronics in the sub are making them curious. Now low on air, he brings the sub to the surface.
Oh, that was amazing. It was absolutely incredible to be down there with a super predator. The water was really murky, fish everywhere, and you see these huge sharks just cruising in over the top of the sub. Simply awesome. One of the reasons the sharks could be inshore is the fact that I saw a tremendous amount of small fish and probably many other large fish there too as well. So these sharks in all likelihood are going inshore to feed on fish.
But as the South African summer comes to an end, the great white shark undergoes a sudden dietary shift away from fish. The cold of winter sets off a dinner bell in the sharks. When they return to Seal Island in False Bay, the sharks already know that small, inexperienced seal pups are easy prey. The fat, calorie-rich seals will give the sharks the energy they need to survive in frigid seas.
So you have the right size prey being pursued by athletic, large numbers of sharks in an environment that is perfect for ambush attacks. And these factors come together in very few locations, if any, elsewhere on Earth.
These ambush attacks are spectacular to witness, but the surface view tells only part of the story.
So you might get a curious white shark.
Now, Chris Fallows has returned to False Bay with a new camera system that will allow him to view the attack of a great white shark from above and below the surface.
Floats in the water like this.
This camera, called Seal Eye, was designed by producer Jeff Kerr to reveal what a seal might see if it looked down seconds before a shark attack. The Seal Eye will also offer the shark an interesting choice of targets. Will the great white attack the electronic Seal Eye as it's towed behind the boat? Or will it attack a more familiar target, a seal-shaped decoy trailing about 10 feet behind? The answer will test the accuracy of a predator that strikes at more than 25 miles per hour. The strike of a great white begins in deep water. Swimming near the bottom, the shark looks up and then launches toward the surface when it detects suitable prey, like an unsuspecting Cape Fur seal pup. Chris Vallows hopes that this new Seal Eye camera will show him the underwater view of these attacks.
Ready, mate?
Always ready.
Okay, you're going to do the decoy? I'll put the camera out.
The seal decoy is the primary target, but the Seal Eye camera is also vulnerable to attack and could easily be destroyed if the shark mistook it for prey.
Tracking perfectly. How's that look from your side, mate?
Looks good.
A video cable feeds a live HD picture to Chris, who will monitor the underwater approach of a great white or any other curious creature. To the common dolphin, the Seal Eye looks like something fun to play with. And for the seals, the camera proves to be irresistible.
As we're getting closer to the island itself, we're getting accompanied by dozens and dozens of young Cape Fur seals. You can see they move so beautifully through the water with such comfort and such ease. And what's also instantly noticeable is how agile they are. And picturing this, it can only be very, very difficult for a white shark to actually capture one of them. Where we are now, the seals feel very safe. Obviously, we're in a shallow area, and the white sharks are less likely to come into these areas. As we slowly start pulling away from the island and get to where the drop-off is, where the white sharks are typically stalking, I expect to see the seals slowly leaving us and going back to the safety of the island.
At the drop-off, just a few hundred feet from the island, between 20 and 30 great white sharks are patrolling, patiently waiting for the seals to venture out from the safety of the shallows.
We're going to launch a decoy?
Yeah, this should tow about 10 feet behind.
Okay. You got that, Punis? Yeah.
Now the Seal Eye is redeployed in the most attack-prone area off Seal Island, a place known as the hot spot.
Decoy out. Camera in.
Okay, you guys ready for me to power the boat up? I'll tell you what, sitting here right now, I'm so keen for a shark to hit the decoy. I can feel my heart pumping. It looks perfect. It looks amazing. That was incredible! It came vertically right up, grabbed it on the surface, went right out and came back in again. Seeing an attack from underwater is really amazing. You know, it's something we never get to see. Jeez, it came up so fast, I hardly even got a chance to see it. You could see that it came at a tremendous speed. Last minute, opened its mouth, and then the inertia just took it clear of the water, as you'd expect. Going at high speed like that, it's got very little time to actually make a cognitive decision. Does it go for the camera? Does it go for the shape? What does it go for? And in virtually every instance, it goes for the right thing.
A seal has a nearly 50-50 chance of surviving a strike like this from a 2,000-pound great white. But a human in the water has virtually no chance at all. Facing those kinds of odds, photographer Chris Fallows is about to trade places with a seal and get in the water with a breaching great white shark. To ensure his own survival, Fallows has designed a craft called the Seal Sled, which will be towed behind the boat with him on board.
I just need to have this as an attachment point. So if you can weld this on here.
Riding on the lightly armored seal sled, Fallows hopes to learn how seals escape death.
So the idea is that I'm going to lie really flat and really low at the back over here. The angle I'm going to try get is a dynamic low point of view of a shark coming flying out the water right next to me. One of the things I'm really interested to see is that last split-second pressure wave that comes up as the shark comes bursting through the water. It's what I believe gives the seals the final edge in detecting an approaching white shark. And for the first time ever, being so close to the water, I might get to see that bubble of water just before the shark comes flying out.
For a nature photographer like Fallows, getting close to the action is always a risky proposition. But the best in the business must sometimes take big chances to capture groundbreaking images, even if that means trading places with a seal, in the water, inside the most notorious great white shark hunting grounds on Earth.
I don't think anybody's ever been this close to a breaching white shark before on purpose. So yeah, I've got to say my heart is pounding a little bit. Let's go this way with Cape Point, Hung Clip and Miller's Point as a background. Yeah, go a little bit more into the west and we'll tow down through the hotspot. I'm going to probably be as close as about 12 foot from a breaching white shark, and the perspective is very dynamic in that I'm going to be shooting almost at water level. So as a shark up to 2,000 pounds could come hurtling out the water going as fast as 25 miles an hour, I'm sure you're going to see the expression change on my face. It's going to be pretty exciting and probably a little bit scary as well.
The sled is about the size of 2 adult seals swimming side by side. Fallows knows that the sharks attack smaller juvenile seals 80% of the time. He'll tow a juvenile-sized seal decoy just behind the sled, gambling that the sharks will go for the young seal, and not for him.
What I'm really betting on here is the fact that we know that on most of the occasions where we see hits on the outward bound groups, it's actually on the stragglers, the young seals that aren't able to keep up with the adults. I'm sitting here on top of the 2 adults, so to speak, and the young seal behind me over here has fallen off the back. So I'm hedging my bets that the little guy behind me is the one that's going to take the action. You certainly don't want to be a straggler at Seal Island.
Fallows thinks the shark will go for the smaller decoy, but he also hopes the shark won't breach and land on top of him on the seal sled, only 10 feet away.
If I was a seal right now, I'd have absolutely no idea what's going on underneath the water. And I guess that's what makes it so incredible that in about 50% of all attacks we have on these animals, that they actually get away. Come on, shark. Come on, shark. Jeez, that was unbelievable! Did you guys get that?
really?
You have a split second, not even a split second. In fact, your mind doesn't even realize the shark's broken the surface of the water. That's how quickly it actually happened. I don't even know what I really saw. I just know there was a great white shark flying through the water right close to me, and it's quite something.
As Fallows predicted, and as his photos and super slow motion footage reveal, a pressure wave forms in front of the onrushing shark. This wave of water may be the seal's only advance warning that an attack is coming.
You know, one of the things that you really appreciate is just how incredible the seals are. Because that animal's coming hurtling out the water at 25 miles an hour. The visibility is terrible, and yet the seals get away in 50% of all predations. They are the most amazing prey themselves, you know, right up at the top of the food chain. And, well, I'm really glad I'm not a seal, because to have to face that every single day of your life really must take something. Take my hat off to them.